Like I told you guys a couple weeks ago, that Canelo Alvarez is going to fight for the IBF title versus Gennady Golovkin September 16th, and not the WBC title. And the thing about that is the IBF comes with a second day weigh-in where you can't weigh more than 10 pounds over the middleweight limit, which is 170 pounds, the morning of. And, if you know boxing and new age boxing, the right after the fight is very critical. After the weigh-in, it's very critical for guys that want that weight advantage. This your boy CJ Goodfellow. We back with that real boxing thing, the boxing clinic, you dig. And it's real critical. A lot of guys like to pack on them carbs. I seen a guy, UFC, and you see them boxing most of the time. Guys rehydrate 20 pounds, in just over 24 hours. And Canelo Alvarez is one of those guys that seem to, have that advantage, mostly in his career. And looking at Danny Jacobs not electing to do that, to do the second day weigh-in with Gennady Golovkin, gave him an advantage, most people said, and I think he had an advantage. He didn't do the second day weigh-in, but, people like Abel Sanchez, I think I seen him say that, Danny Jacobs could have been anywhere 20, 25 pounds heavier over the 160 limit versus Gennady Golovkin, and it really probably gave him an advantage to absorb those blows and have some success, making it and finishing strong in that fight. And with Canelo, he's not going to have that advantage so much. Because that first day, when you eat and sleep, you see after the weigh-in, some guys that struggle to make weight, immediately they go, and I say immediately, it's just being funny, immediately they go to that Pedialyte, or they go to that Gatorade, and they put fluids in their body to start the rehydration process. And it's a very tricky one. It's a point that some people can put on, pack on too much weight, and they be sluggish. James Toney versus Roy Jones Jr., I think, was one of them. Especially when guys is struggling with the weight. James Toney said that he just couldn't make the weight no more, and he packed on too much weight, and he was sluggish. And that could be the issue. But with Canelo, he's not going to have that advantage. That critical part from after the weigh-in till, you go to sleep, you wake up the next morning, a lot of guys get the majority of their weight gain right then and there. And then by you having to monitor that, overnight and after the weigh-in and all that stuff, and have to come in on weight, it's just not that easy to, after the second day weigh-in, Saturday morning, to pack on that weight, because you can eat everything, and then, your body might be sluggish before the fight. You might not be feeling right. You might be feeling bloated. You might not be feeling healthy. Each fighter has a different routine to, what time they eat before the fight, right before the fight, and, they meal. So like I told you, the grunt of that weight gain for the rehydration is done immediately after the first weigh-in. And Canelo Alvarez is not going to have that advantage, and that kind of can tip, the scales in Gennady Golovkin's favor, because Golovkin is the power puncher. Golovkin is seen as having more stamina. Canelo has struggled with stamina. That's one of my questions about him. And, his power will be way more effective. And I think, that could be a disadvantage, for Canelo, but Canelo doesn't think that is about fighting for the IBF. So that tells me that Canelo is very confident. Danny Jacobs, not so much, I don't think. Him not coming to that second weigh-in and packing on 20 to 25 pounds, that tells me that, he was worried about Triple G power, and he wanted that extra weight to absorb some of that power and strength, and it showed. And with Canelo, he ain't going to have that advantage. And I think if I'm a betting guy, that kind of would, have me wary about putting money on Canelo, depending on how good the odds was. But strictly from a factual standpoint, that kind of troubles me. I thought Canelo I thought this is one of the fights he might, go up a little bit more to have that advantage. But maybe he feels that he doesn't need that advantage versus Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he feels like he's very superior to outboxing him. And it can happen. Now, I don't think he's going to go out there and twinkle toes and boxing on his toes. If you expected Canelo to go on his toes and be moving around, and if you see that in the fight, just know he's in trouble, especially early on in the fight. Now, if he's trying to buy time and put some, make it to the finish line like he did with Austin Trout, then, yeah, that's cool. But if he's doing that from the beginning, his back's on the ropes, he's moving around and trying to, move and avoid Triple G, I think that's a bad sign. You know, I think he should go straight down the pipe. You know, be slick. You know, be defensive responsible. Slip, slide, and dive, jive, and counter and punch and be aggressive Canelo like we know he can. But back to the topic of discussion. Yeah, that would kind of worry me. I would thought that Canelo would want that advantage. I really did. You know, I really did think he would want that extra, 20, 15 pound advantage. I remember people saying in one of his fights, I can't remember which one it was, that he was in a 180, 185, almost a cruiserweight. And he denied it, but I know he didn't take the second day weigh-in. You know, they're not obligated to in most circumstances. So, the most I see him coming in this fight is 175, but maybe he wants to be in better shape. Maybe he wants to be leaner. And, about a week or two after the Chavez Jr. fight, he was already training again. He looks very lean. Even his legs are shredded. So I think they're going to try to beat Golovkin with volume, counter punching, and body punching. I think they're going to try to just, overpower Golovkin. Not in the sense of physical strength and power, in the sense of volume punching, counter punching, and body punching. I think, Chapo and Team Canelo they have a good idea what they want to do with Golovkin. I think they really do. And I'm very confident it's going to be a good fight, but we gone.